podcast where we empower your physical, social, spiritual, and economic health. Consume this content every week with positive energy and good intentions. Join me, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and my starlit queen, Sinclair, the health nerd, and share this with those you love. You are strong, you are beautiful, and you are ready to live your best life. Don't act like you were being all nice. You were bullying me right before. Don't act all. No, you were bullying me.
Oh, my baby, you're so cute.
What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another amazing and bullyful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we shall live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have the smiling, the curl-rific, the twinkle in her eye, beautiful bully. Introduce yourself.
First of all, he's so dramatic. What's up, everybody? My name is Sinclair, aka Theee. I knew you were. Don't do it. Health nerd.
I wasn't. I thought about it. Several times.
He's so dramatic. I'm not a bully. Anyways, it's a little hot today.
You don't know. You don't know.
I know because before I turned on the air, it was 82 degrees. So if it's 82 degrees inside, it's gotta be 87 outside.
It was cool this morning when I was playing basketball. It was actually cold this morning, real foggy.
How does it say it's 73?
See?
But it's 82 inside. That don't make no sense.
Thermodynamics, which my little brother is taking right now in college. Heat comes in, it gets trapped. So when it's hotter here than it is outside. Especially in the office. Anyway,
the door was open, so it's like it should be more circulate. Anyways.
Engineers, please talk to us about thermodynamics. All right. But
the sad thing is I took it.
Today's episode, we are talking about the Great Resignation.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we're talking about, I think, everyone watching, go ahead, blink twice or clap your hands if you know somebody who has changed jobs, quit their job, or retired since COVID has started, right? Since 2019. Go ahead and blink twice, clap, do a little Harlem Shake, whatever you got to do. We'll feel those energies. If someone has, again, quit their job, shifted careers, or has just done a full-on retirement, bless your heart, since 2019. I know we have known some people and have experienced some of those things ourselves. And the question is why? All right, why is it happening? Should you be making the decision to also possibly do one of those three things as well? And what's the best way to go about it? Or at least in our opinions. Queen.
King.
Telling y'all, there's gonna be a whole episode of Queen King. Are you ready?
Are you ready for some podcast?
All right, we're out. So I don't know if the audience, the community, has been able to enjoy your vocals. I don't know. We haven't done a poll. We can add a poll to this episode.
What do you mean? I sing every time, so obviously they have.
It's been 4 solid episodes since we've kind of ingrained that into the new repertoire.
I'm singing, they're enjoying.
I'm going to add a poll. It's not going to matter because the Queen said during the intro that she enjoys it. So it doesn't matter. I will lose 1,000 listeners to have my co-host and Queen be happy singing her voice. I just want to know what the vote. Let's go ahead and end this episode. This episode was brought to you by but Great Resignation, right? And I want to kind of talk about at first just your personal thought on why do you think people work? And let's try to be as little politically correct Was that grammatically correct? Probably not. But let's try to be like as straightforward. Like, why do you think people are working? Period.
Like most people, like realistically, why are they working?
Yeah.
For money.
Why did that seem painful? What's for?
I'm just like deciding like if I wanted to say money or just like to maintain
a list.
a lifestyle.
Okay.
Like I think it's probably to provide for their family. Like I think it's a mixture of those three things. I think it's either I just want some money so I can, and that the 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand. I mean, they all kind of go hand in hand, but 1 and 2 maybe like I just need money to either support my family or I just need money to support the way that I live right now. I like to get fancy clothes. I like to buy Gucci. I like to eat expensive meals. So I need money to be able to do that. And then, yeah, to support, I think, to support families. Like, I think once you have either whether you support your parents or whether you support your children, whether you support another family member, I think there's a lot of people out there who work to support their family.
I would agree 100%. I feel like if you could not work and somehow still get paid,
I think most people would do that.
I think most people would do it. And I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later. I think most people have done that in COVID. And that's why they're like, I'm not going back to work because, But secondly, I think people do work, maybe step number 2, for some type of purpose, for some type of, I don't want to be bored sitting at home all day. So how can I interact with people? How can I be productive and be functional? So for me, those are the 2 things. 1, money to either support my current lifestyle or so I can live this American dream that I've been kind of taught my whole life. I need the house. I need the dog. I need the Gucci. I need the white picket fence. I need to travel, which I do love to travel too. So I fall in this trap. But I feel like that's the kind of goals, that's the dreams that's given to us. So we get jobs, not that we necessarily absolutely love all the time, but that will help us live this dream. Right. That will help us almost survive sometimes. Right? Yeah. Can you talk about how you decided to take your first job after college?
Okay, so years back, way back when,
whose auntie is this? Whose auntie?
No, so for me, I'm just trying to put myself back in the mindset of where I was when I accepted the job. One of my biggest fears was graduating and not having a job or knowing what I'm going to do after that. Especially because I did study engineering, which is a very grueling major.
Facts.
And it's very mentally taxing for anybody out there who's thinking about it. I would never deter anybody away from it if that's where your passion lies. But 1, make sure it is a passion, because if it's not, you will find out very quickly. Because I feel like they purposely make it hard so that they weed out the folks who aren't really about it. But long story short, it was a lot of work to get that major. So I'm like, I don't want this to be all for nothing. So
rewind. I don't want this to be all for nothing. Just unpack that one more layer for me, please. What does that mean?
I'm like, okay. This is not to throw shade to anybody who has had to do this, but I saw it and I just didn't want it to be me. Folks who graduated and were forced to take some other job that had nothing to do with their major, that maybe was not fulfilling, and it was just a job to get some money. Because at some point, it's like, okay, you can probably go a couple months, without some money, but at some point, you need a job. So I just did not want to be in that position to where it's like, shoot, I'm 4 months in and I still can't find a job. So I'm just gonna have to go, do whatever I can, find a random job that just gets me some money, that I could have done without getting this degree, which again goes back to my point on like, I don't want this to all be for nothing.
Gotcha. So is it the level of money or is it the level of job? You know what I'm saying? So if you would have doing all of this and make it worth it, is it the getting an $80,000, $90,000 job? What if it wasn't engineering? What if it was a job that had nothing to do with your major, but made good money, versus a job that has nothing to do with your major, and it's also only paying minimum wage? Like, is the money the factor or is the job the factor?
So I feel like what I ended up doing is taking a job that didn't necessarily have too much to do with my major. They looked for engineers, but I wasn't doing engineering. So that part of it, I think, especially because I had a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for engineering by the end of it. So it was like, I really don't want to do a profession in engineering. So I don't think it was the job. I think it's like, it's the bag. Yeah. Like, let me make sure that the amount of money, stress, sweat, tears, mental exhaustion that I've gone through was worth something at the end of it. Like, let me be compensated for this at least.
Got you. And I was in a kind of a similar boat. I think I wasn't as blessed and as not blessed. I wasn't as strategic as the queen, because I feel like some people were like, "Oh, you're just so lucky. You got a job right out of college." I did see you hustling. I saw you grinding. You were going to your career fairs.
Which career fair? Freshman year, fam.
Yeah, you were doing your thing. I wasn't quite on it like that, y'all. I'll be honest with you. You know, I was struggling throughout college. I was trying to graduate. That was my main priority. But for me,
So then that you did.
Yes, I did graduate. Got that diploma. But right after graduation, I had no plan. Luckily, I did get a internship / position working for the SMASH program, which was a really good program. It was a live-in program at UC Davis, and it was around education. It was around student development. That was a really good kind of bridge for me. But after that, it was like a 6-week, 5-week program. Still no job. Homeless may be a strong word, because I was with my frat brothers. Shout out to the squad. I think it was, I don't know whose house it was at then. It was Markel's house, Ona's house. Maybe Sam was living there. Ryan was probably still living there. And, it was me on that beautiful couch for about maybe four weeks, applying for jobs, interviewing places. And I finally landed a gig that was kind of like you. It was like for the bag, but at the same time, it was a step into education, which was a field I wanted to get in. It wasn't the exact wave that I wanted to do. I wanted a little bit more student development, hands-on, but it was admissions work. It was still able to help students. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this job. It's a good transition. It's my first career job, and we're gonna go from there. I feel like a lot of people make that first job decision, and because of experience, because of momentum, you stick in this path, even though that was never really the path that you wanted.
Yeah.
Right. That was never really your passion. So before we go into how the pandemic may have helped break that momentum, which I think it was literally a force that came in and it helped people possibly change directions. Can you talk a little bit about, or we can dive into it now?
I just thought about the physics, like where like an object at motion stays in motion unless it's acted upon by an outside force.
Right.
So like you said, for a lot of people, sorry, we just went through engineering, so that's where my head is at.
We here. Come on, nerd
right?
Out,
that is out. What, like you said, that's what the pandemic was, is like, you're going to stay in motion because that's where the trajectory of your life is going.
Right.
So everything, all of your energy, everything is going to go towards that direction unless something drastic happens that shifts that for you.
Right.
And I think for a lot of folks, it has to be an outside force. For not everybody. For a lot of people, it's just like, nope, this ain't for me. Right. But for a lot of folks, like it's hard to make that decision without something drastic happening to really shift that mindset, turn on that light bulb, whatever it is.
Right. So I do want to, and we can kind of jump to it, because I was going to make maybe just one point on this, is we can kind of talk about it. But once you get experience in a lane, it is difficult to switch lanes. Right. So for me, I did get blessed. Again, I'm not mad about the position that I got into, but I was in admissions. Great job for like 50% of it. Right. I love the talking to the students. I love being able to create events. But there was another side of it, specifically with me working for Black students primarily, or students of color in some cases. There was always that politics game that you got to play. And I'm not a politics person. So it was just like, that's stressful. Some of like the reading of apps or the reports and like all the other stuff wasn't really my passion, wasn't really my superpower. And I felt like I voiced that in every position. I was like, I think I can be doing very creative stuff. outside of this job. So how about I do this? And they're like, no, Devon, this is your job description. I was like, oh gosh, all right. How about I write a new job description? Can we do that? And yeah, that didn't work out too well. But I felt like, yeah, in jobs, in adulting, there's certain rules, ways that things are set up, and it can get hard to get a job outside of that because it's like, okay, I'm in admissions, this is my experience. You apply these other things, you don't get them, but then you apply to another admissions job
and
you get it because you have admission experience.
Right.
Same thing kind of with you if you want to talk about it, but it makes it again hard to exit that fast lane or exit that lane that you're in.
And I think for a lot of it, and what I've come to the realization of, and I think what folks who are doing a similar path as me is realize is that once you, like you said, go along a path, you get really good at that.
Right.
Because I mean, if you're a growth mindset type of person where you're always trying to get good at whatever you do, whatever it is, you're going to give it your all and you're going to get good at it.
And eventually you'll become the best at something that you were never really passionate, like if your heart wasn't there.
That's exactly what happened to me. So I mean, I feel like I can talk about it now because I've officially put in my notice.
Hey, this is the show we're up.
But I think for me, so I have been working for a beverage manufacturing company. And that at first was very interesting to me. Like, I don't want to downplay that I did not want this job. When I took it, I was excited. I was like, ooh, this is so cool. And like, I got to go see like another food manufacturing plant and like just seeing how everything worked. Made. Yeah, how it was made. Like, I always liked was interested in the show, like how it was made. Like, I was that weird kid that would stare at the washing machine and be like, that would stare at the washing machine and be like, how does this work? Like, you put dirty clothes in and then you just get clean clothes out. But like, what's happening? How does this work? So like, that was always intriguing to me.
Like, you said as a kid, I would sit down.
And it wasn't like not like the whole time. No.
That's 40 minutes, y'all. That's what y'all like. It's a solid 40
minutes. Not like the whole time. Not the whole time. But I would be intrigued, like, this is fascinating. But anyways, don't play me, Devon. Okay, so like he wasn't weird. Anyways,
yeah, I ate laundry detergent as a child. So
I'm gonna leave that there. There's too much I could do with that. So
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
Okay, well,
the damage has been done. There's nothing you can say that would do more damage
than eating some poison. Dear Lord. So for me, when I took the job, I was very excited. And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna be the CEO. Like, ooh, I'm going all the way to the top. Like, I was very into it. And yeah, it was all the way until maybe about year 3, 4, that I just started to really question, like, okay, coming to work every day is not like, once it settles in and once you start to get those roles that you want, like at the beginning, you kind of got to learn the ropes. You kind of got to start at the entry level roles and just learn and observe about all the other positions.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start to get those positions, then the reality of what the job actually is starts to set in. So everything, it's one of those, like, grasses are not always greener on the other side. So it's like, you see those positions and you're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I want to be a manager. I want to look at them. They get the office. They get the
Facts.
They get the respect. They get to make the decisions, all that stuff.
The bag.
Right. You get the bag. But then you get the role and it's like, okay, this is not all that it was cracked up to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the responsibility that you wanted, do you like having it? Did I like having it? Not so much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just the, like, what the reality of the job is every single day, didn't bring me the same joy that it once did. And for me, that was a real red flag, because it's like, I'm only 5 years in. So most people work for
20, 30.
Right. So I was like, well, where am I going to be in 20 years after this? If already after 5 years, I'm like questioning, if this is for me. So long story short, you get really good at it. And then you start to realize that whatever you did want to do, you're going to have to start at ground zero again.
If you want to follow your passion?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like that's the other thing that keeps people on the path.
Facts.
The whole idea that, like, comfort is, it's safe. Our brains are wired to seek comfort. and like take the easy way out, because that's how you maintain survival and maintain the energy to live longer, right? If our instinctual brains are wired for that. But then also it's that fear of like, the other side for me, it was health, right? The health coaching, like all of that, that's unknown, and it's not unknown anymore because I'm in it. But
yes, you are.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But before, it was very unknown. It was like, this is really all I know. What I've been doing for the last 5 years is all I know. So this unknown, I'm gonna leave the comfort of what I know that I'm good at to go to something that I'm pretty sure I'd be good at, but I don't really know until I try.
And I think another side of that is, you talked about we work to maintain a certain lifestyle. So 5 years in, you're making a certain amount of money, no matter what your career is. Like every year, hopefully you've gotten some type of cost of living raise or something, to where now you're spending this money that you're used to every single day. And you've built a lifestyle around this certain money. And most of us, even us at times, are not good at budgeting. So we're living at possibly above our means. So even if you wanted to start over and do something else, it's like, but if I start over, my bag goes in half or goes down by 30%, and I literally can't afford this life anymore. So it's like you get trapped, right? You have your car, you have your rent, you have your travel things, you got your Gucci, you got everything, and it's like your life is definitely good, and outside looking in, you're living that lifestyle, but it's like, dang, I can't make $500 less, or else I'm now in debt, or I might lose something.
Right.
And I feel like that's the interesting trap that you get in. But are you ready to kind of talk a little bit how COVID may have been that force to get people off a different thing? Cool. So I think it did a few things. One, and you feel free to do a little sprinkle in there, but I feel like the pandemic allowed people more time to themselves. Two, it allowed them to see what other people are doing, because we were on the internet, on social media, on YouTube way more than I think we were before. So we were to see like, there's people out here making money like that.
Right.
I didn't like all these online courses. I can make online courses and people will actually buy them. That's interesting. So there's that. And then lastly, I think there's the fact that people were getting unemployment for doing no work, no shade. Like people were literally being able to be home, do whatever they wanted with their heart's desire, and get paid.
Right.
And I think after doing that for 6 months, 7 months, and then your job's like, hey, Devon, we want you to come back to work. Huh? What? I was just, I'm good. I think I'm gonna stay here, or I think I'm gonna get another job. But first things first. One, you have more time. In your opinion, Queen, what did that do either for you? Because I know you had a little stint of time where you were able to work from home. Right. What did it tease? Like what did that feel like?
It did give me a little snippet of like what the entrepreneur life could be like. Because I was able to work from home for like 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, to where I had, I would take my meetings from home, but then I would just have so much more time. My commute, to work is, 45 minutes at best, an hour, with traffic. So saving that 2 hours a day, that did wonders, and it doesn't seem, I mean, it sounds minuscule, but it like 2 hours in every single day. Right, that's you add that up. That's 10 hours a week, an additional 10 hours a week you get to do with, whatever you want. So for me, that was to just start, thinking about what health coaching could look like, and start working on all of the other businesses that I had to just like squeeze into, hour and a half, 2 hours after work every day after I would come home. Now I have time to do that and cook dinner and have some time with the hubby. Like it was just, it opened up the like realm of like, this could be what my life is like. Right. And so that just, of course, just started getting me thinking like, okay, well, how can we make this the reality? Yeah.
So it allowed that extra time, allowed you to dream a new dream.
Yes.
Right. So at first, when we're kids, we're in high school, like we see our parents working the job and like they're there for 10, 20, 30 years. We're taught from our teachers, hey, be a doctor, be a lawyer, get a good job. That's why you want to go to college. So we're given this set of a dream. But being home all day, being able to watch social media, being able to watch movies, like we're constantly fantasizing about other realities now. So I think for the first time, literally the entire world, or specifically America, we got a chance to redream and recreate what that future looks like for us. And some of us came out the pandemic, we're like, nope, we ain't going back. We can't do it. And other people, had to make those tough decisions, maybe go back to that environment. But yeah, I feel like that having that new dream, having that new vision makes it difficult to go back to the old situation.
Right.
Go ahead, Queen.
I think just to echo what you said earlier, like once you get to do what you want to do, it's very hard to go back to do what you have to do.
Yeah, that's a good one. Say it one more time.
Once you get to do what you want to do, it's very hard to go back to doing what you have to do. So I think that's kind of what everybody got, a little teaser of like, you have a little more time. What do you want to do with it? Like, spend more time with your family, go whatever it is.
What is this?
Whatever it is. But then, the reality comes is when they have opened up the offices, if they've opened up your office back, right? It's like, okay, well, now you got to come back and wear a mask and not talk to people very closely and like all these things where it's like it's not even going back to normal. I feel like that's the other thing, is like you're going back to a reality that's like weird.
I think another layer is, and after this I want to talk about maybe signs that you're not passionate about your job, right? And then maybe how to find that passion. So I'm gonna plant that seed with you percolate on it and let me know. But I feel like something for me that made me make my switch up, and no, I didn't quit. I just got different jobs, in case y'all wondering. But for me, it was kind of the lack of power agency, right? And I feel like when the pandemic first started, you're able to be home and you almost have power over your day.
Right.
So it's like, yes, you have meetings, yes, you have schedules, but it's like if I want to go on a walk, I can go on my walk. This is my office space. However I want to set it up. I got a new desk in here. So it's like there's just so much power and agency that I had in this space being home. And when they were like, hey, we're gonna actually have y'all come back. And by the way, we move your desk.
Right.
You don't have the same desk. And I was like, what? So it was kind of like a snap back to reality of you're about to leave a place where you have complete power, control, and comfortability, and now go back in person to a place where you have zero power, zero control. And yeah, that's what really bothered me, I think, the most. And I was very upfront with my supervisor as well. I let them know exactly when I was applying for jobs. I let them know exactly why it happened. It was just like, yeah, I didn't like that sense of not being in control, not having that power and agency that I thought I had.
Right.
Queen, are you ready to kind of talk about either signs that maybe you're not doing the job that you really love to do, or how to really tap into like what your passion is, what your purpose is?
We can start off with the signs.
Okay.
So I think one of the first things that came to my mind is how you feel when you wake up. And it's actually twofold: how you feel when you go to sleep and how you feel when you wake up. Because that's what I started to notice, is that slight level of anxiety of like, crap, like Sunday nights.
I gotta go back there, man.
Sunday nights, they're rough because it's like, dang, I'm again on the weekend, get to do what we want with our time, and it doesn't like we're still working, we're still here, right? But we're choosing to do this right now, and it's by my own will that I am choosing to do this podcast right now. Nobody's making me do this.
See that? I am not forcing her. I'm not making her. I just want to put that on record. Episode 84. When we get to episode 227, I just want to go back to episode 84. Remember this moment.
It's true for episode 84. See how true that is. I do know. But yeah, I feel like the slight anxiety I started to feel on Sunday nights, knowing that I had to go to work on Monday, was a sign for me. And then again, waking up, like for me, it started to like, when it got really rough, it affects my sleep because I'm up at night thinking about what I'm going to have to do the next day, the conversations I'm going to have, the whatever, the million things people are going to come to me and complain about. Those are the things that start to just run in my head. And it makes it hard for me to quiet that and be able to just find a state of peace, especially because the nature of the job is 24/7. So it doesn't feel like at any point that I have that state of peace, because at any point I could get a text or a phone call of something popping off. Right. So I feel like that's part of it. And then, yeah, again, waking up, like if you wake up and you're like, whew, let's go. I get to do this. I get to do that. Notice I said it. I get to, right? Then you're probably in the right spot. But if you're getting up and like, dang, I have to do this and I have to do that, notice the language change there, then that may be a sign that you're not quite passionate about whatever that you're doing. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it just the going to sleep and waking up started to get rough, and that was a big sign for me.
I agree with that. I think that is a sign. I don't think I was at the point with my job to where I was like, oh man, I gotta go there, because again, there was still that 50%, maybe 60%, that I was like, I like this. I like what I'm doing. It was just a portion that I didn't like. But for me, the sign was I experienced liking 100%. I experienced what it was like to live in your passion, work in your passion, create revenue, impact, and want to do it again.
Yeah. I feel like for you that like the revenue part too is like, once you realize like, oh, I can make
money,
more money than I'm making right now.
What?
Like that's a game changer.
Wild. So I would encourage, I don't know if we're going to talk about this in the next section, but as early as you can, like even if you're thinking of, man, I don't know if the job is for me, cool. Find what that thing is for you, do it, and test what that feels like. Test what that energy feels like. Can you do that all day? Can you work an 8-hour shift and feel more energy, feel more purpose than you did working the 8-hour shift doing the other job? And if you do this thing and you're like, no, it wasn't popping, then cool. Don't quit your job. Right. Stay there. Find something else. Test it out. And then when you do find that thing where it's like, ooh, this is it. I can do this all day, every day. I can travel and do this. I can do it twice. I can do this for 16 hours, get paid the same amount, and I would still love it. Then that's when you can really seriously think about making that switch. But for me, going to Tulsa.
Yep.
Right. And we were dipping and dabbling a little bit, doing like courses every now and again, but that was just like maybe an hour a day, 2 hours a day. Wasn't that much. But being able to travel there for 4 days, 5 days. Yeah, you might travel person. I don't know.
4 days.
It was a dream for me. We were there for 4 days. These are 4 full days where we're grinding. We're going to workshops. We're selling games. We're talking. It was like a full work day. It was. Thing is, it was so exhausting physically.
Yes.
But my mind was on fire.
Yeah.
Like my body was literally broken. Like I was so tired doing all the walking and carrying stuff, talking to people, all the socializing. Like it was physically exhausting. But at the end of the day, when we were in that hotel room, I was still like thinking of ideas. I was like, yes, we can do this. And then we can do this. And then what about this person? And oh my gosh, they were so cool. And it was like, I was literally on fire. And we were able to make probably more money in those 4 days than we would have made, or at least I would have made in my job in a week or 2 weeks. Right. Yep.
Especially if you think about the connections that you made that have led to money afterwards. Like if you all of that sourced from that 4 days, like
yes,
crazy,
literally crazy. So for me, once I was able to experience loving 100% of what I do to make money and to live in my purpose, it was very difficult that next week to go back to work. And yes, it was 50, it was 60, right? I was thankful for that 50 and 60 before. But once you experience the 100, it's hard to go back to the other lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. All right, Queen. I'm still. It still gives me energy.
Yes.
Right, and that's how I know.
Noticeably, like.
All right. And it happened again. Like we went to Orlando. Same thing. Like this is back-to-back days. We're at the table. We're selling stuff. We're talking about Black Wall Street. We're hosting workshops, and literally the energy, literally being able to talk to 7-year-old children that have business ideas and watch the brilliance go off. Being able to meet their parents and come up, and they're just like, "Oh, thank you, my daughter." Da, da, da. Like that stuff gives me so much energy. And doing all of that again, still being able to create revenue while doing something that I would do for free.
Right.
That I have been doing for free, but now checks are starting to come in, right? So let's talk about now. Let me try to We try to woo saw.
Right,
Queen,
right,
I'm
right.
gonna pass it to you. Let me woo saw.
What were we going to talk about though? Just let me know, and then
What's
I'll
the
take,
plan?
and then I'll take it over.
Finding your purpose, Queen.
Got you.
Can we talk about how to find your purpose, and then maybe strategies? And I'm happy to kind of go back and forth on this. Strategies to then monetize that purpose. Go ahead.
Okay. So finding your purpose.
Hmm.
I think a good place to start is finding your gifts. And we've talked about that before. So what are you good at that is hard for most other people? Something that is, it could be braiding hair. Like most people don't know how to braid hair. So if you braid hair and you enjoy it, and that's a gift, then that's a gift. It could be speaking, it could be making people laugh. Like it can be a minute activity. It could also just be kind of a general, like inspiring people. Maybe you're one of those people that when you walk into a room, people just turn and listen. Like Devon's one of those people. So just find like what is that thing that's special, really special about you that is not found in everybody. And if you struggle, we've talked about this a little bit in other episodes, but if you struggle finding that for yourself, talk to someone who thinks highly of you, and they can probably voice it. Sometimes I know for me, like I'm very self-critical, so I'm not always good at pointing out the things that I'm doing well or the things that are my gifts. But someone like Devon who thinks highly of me can be like, oh, you're also good at this and this and this and this. I'm like, oh yeah, I am good at that.
Right, I am popping.
Yeah. But it can be hard to think about those things myself. So find somebody close to you who knows you, whether it's your mom, whether it's your dad, whether it's your husband, wife, sister, brother, best friend, cousin, whoever it is, coworker. Find somebody who thinks highly of you and ask them like, what do you think my gifts are? Or like, what is something that I do really well? And then that may start some gears going, right? That may turn on some light bulbs for you. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am pretty good at that. And I actually really enjoy that. I feel energized when I do that. So that could be a place to start.
And if I can sprinkle a little bit on that, I would say also, little Himalayan salt. I would say, think about what are some of those things that used to be hobbies. Right? Like, what are some of those things that as a kid in high school, if you went off to college, or even during the pandemic, like what are some things that you've been doing for yourself? Right? As just, this is fun for me. Like I'm that weird person where I would be on YouTube for hours watching videos on Black history, on financial literacy, on how to build homes, on this, all types of stuff. And I can consume that content for hours. And then the queen will come home. I'll tell her about the content. I'll text Markel and Ona like, hey, did you know that tax deductible, you can buy a Range Rover and you can deduct that whole thing? And they're like, what? How'd you learn this? Here's a YouTube video. Check it out. Like, check it out. Like I could nerd out on that stuff all day. So for me, like being able to give people information that I think can really change their life is literally fun for me. I do it every day for free. And I don't know if that's considered a hobby, but yes, I'm a professional YouTube watcher and content creator or content transformer. So I feel like, think about what are those things that you literally just love to do. Like if you had all day today to do whatever you want, would you go on a hike? Would you take pictures of your queen with your camera? Would you want to make smoothies and cook a new recipe? Like what's that? And I'll eat them. Listen, so like, what is that thing where it's like, if you just had all the time in the world and you weren't being paid, it was a hobby that you were doing to pour into your own cup, what would you do? That's the first step. Second step is, now that you have that thing, cool. Now, how do you make money from that?
And I think even before that, how can you help other people with whatever that is? So I think you can do that without making money first. True. And that's, I feel like, how a lot of people start off. Even for me, free session first, right? So it's like, okay, how can I take this and help other people with this? So for you, okay, yes, I'm consuming, but let me also tell this person about it, or tell that person about that, or create a little blog post or a YouTube video or a Black Study Snacks about it. Again, if you're used to just doing your own hair, well, how can I maybe do other people's hair? So I think it's like, what are you good at? How can I help other people with this gift? And then thirdly, how can I make money helping other people with this gift? Right.
And the same way that you do it for free is going to be the same way you make money. Right. That's called the freemium business model. YouTube right? You're on YouTube, you're on there for free, right? Usually most people, including my cheap self, we're not paying anything to be on YouTube, right? It's a free model, but they do have a premium section to where if you want to pay for it, if you want to be able to download stuff, see less annoying ads, all of that stuff, you pay, and now you don't have that thing, right? So for you, think about like literally what's the service or what's the way that you want to help people? How are you willing to do it for free? Black Study Snacks, we put that stuff on YouTube. Anybody can consume them. The Queen has her live Thursday throwdowns where anyone can come and learn recipes and learn kind of some healthy stuff. But and then after you grow and you learn your business model, learn your customer, now you can give a higher value, right? Higher level of solving the problem, give them more value, give them more consistency, and now you can charge for that portion of what you're giving, right? Man, we dove into that quicker than I thought we were going to dive into. More. Anything else you got on like how to find that purpose or testing what things may be your purpose?
I just wanted to touch on, you said like, what did you like as a kid? I think that that's something too that you can go back to. If you, after doing all these things, you're still like, I really don't know like what I'm good at, I got nothing, or like what I'm passionate about, go to like, what types of toys did you play with as a kid? Like sometimes that's what it is. Because if you think about when you're a child, that's like before you're tainted, before you're like, oh, I have to make money, I have to get a job, like before those realities start to hit set in on you. Whatever you liked as a kid was just what you purely enjoyed to do, because kids, that's what they do, they just play, right? So like, how did you play as a kid? Like, was it through a certain sport? Was it playing with dolls? Again, was it like, this is not necessarily interesting how this is not correlated at all to how I am now. But I used to love the doll heads. I don't know if you even know what I'm going to say. The doll heads, it used to be like shoulders up, and it was a doll head with hair, and I used to play with the doll's hair. And I used to like braid it and things like that. The reason why I say that does not connect to now, because I do not like to spend time doing my hair right now.
You don't like to spend time doing your hair. True. But you're helping this person appear and live their best life.
True.
You're taking a non-organized structure of hair and you're literally organizing it into braids or into whatever other thing it is. So that's literally what you do now. Like you help people organize the chaos and help them live their best life.
You're kind of good at this.
I do this. I promise y'all, I do this. For me, I was doing the same thing for V in my head as well. I feel like it didn't connect at first, but then it did connect.
Yeah.
My thing that I love to play was Pokemon.
Yes.
Yes, like you were there. What you talking about?
But I knew you were gonna say that because you talked about your Pokemon cards. I used to sell them, and I don't want to put all your business out there.
I was a hustler with them cards, boy. But what I was talking about is even the video game, like the Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, all that stuff. Like I love playing with the Pokemon. What I love with it is you have something that you start from the very beginning, like a Charmander, and you know, I'm talking to my Pokemon people out there. Charmander's fullest potential is a Charizard, right? It can evolve. I forgot what the first one is. The second one is. Someone help me out with what the second one was, but it goes. Anyway, it evolves 3 levels, right? Charmander, Charmeleon. There it is. Gosh, see, it's there in the subconscious.
It just came out.
Yeah, too. Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, and you know, as a player, this is the evolution, and you know the full potential of each Pokemon because you know the history of Pokemon, you know the Rolodex, all that. So for me, as an adult, I love helping people get to their full potential, right? And as a kid, I knew Charmander, you can go to Charizard, so I'm gonna train you. I'm gonna get you all the berries. We're gonna do this stuff, and it was very fulfilling as a kid to play the game and help these Pokemon reach their full potential. And I feel like, that's just the same thing I love to do now. If you have an idea, if I see that spark in you, I'm like, ooh, okay, I know we can evolve you. There's 3, 4, 5, whatever more forms I think you still have to offer this universe. What do we need to do? What's your training? What's the Goji berry that you need? What gyms do you need to defeat in order to be that full level that I think in my head you can be? So I like, that's a good point. Like, go back to your child self. What did you play with? What did you do as a kid? How did you get in trouble? Right. For me, I got in trouble for talking. He's like, I got in trouble for talking. The fact that I would get all that punishment and still talk, that's a gift.
Right. It didn't.
That's a gift.
It's not like you retreated after that.
Right. I didn't retreat. I'm gonna talk though. Right. That's my purpose. That's why I'm here. So yeah, really think about your childhood. Talk to your childhood friends. Talk to your parents. Talk to your grandparents. And really figure out what was that like. How was I when I was 6 and 7, and get back to that purpose. I think when we're first born, I think as kids we live in our purpose sometimes better than we live in our purpose as adults.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get back to what that purpose was when we were a kid, and it may seem abstract, sometimes you got to pull it out. But yeah, get back to that. AJ, Squirtle, come on. Thank you for my fellow Pokemon people out there. No, you don't know Squirtle either? Blastoise?
I promise you, when I saw this pop
Squirtle?
up on the screen, and I was like, "Do we have a troll? What's happening? What's going on the screen?" I promise you, I don't know what that was another language for me.
Yeah, I had a Blastoise too, AJ. AJ, you got talent, sir. I'm not gonna put you out on blast, but you got talent. I've seen it. Looking forward to seeing you evolve and doing your thing too. It's there. Talk to me. Go ahead.
I was that kid forcing my family to sit around at the table while I served them Kraft mac and cheese, top ramen, hot dogs, whatever I could throw up and throw down in the kitchen at 8 years old.
Look at you now.
Look at me now. Just had siblings over yesterday, and I had fun in the kitchen. Whipping up my chicken and lamb chops and potatoes and veggies
fire.
That was fun.
Anissa, Iron, we appreciate y'all for coming through. Yeah, it was a fire meal.
But yeah, I find so much enjoyment in cooking and entertaining other folks, getting folks around the table. So yeah.
Appreciate you. Love the chat. Oh yeah, y'all, you have a good one too, AJ. And again, hit me up with your latest and greatest, sir. So I think we're going to the wrap, and we'll start to maybe do a few updates. But long story short, hopefully you've had time to reflect, figure out what that new dream is for you. And if you haven't yet, or if you're in the middle of it, take this week to really take a deep dive into what are some of your gifts, what are some of the things that you love to do just with your free time, or when you were 7, right? When you were 6, when you were 5, what were those things that you just did as a kid, and how can you bring that energy back to today, or plant a small seed and maybe bring it back next year or the year after that? Queen, any kind of final thoughts you have?
Yes, I want to wrap this back to, like, if you're wondering, like, why are they talking about this on the health podcast, right? If you know our 4 pillars: physical health, social health, spiritual health, and financial health. What I want to focus on is the spiritual health, because under that pillar is where we talk about like finding your passion and finding your purpose. Why are you here on this earth is part of living a healthy life. Like I want to challenge everybody listening to this podcast to not think of that as a luxury. Because I think that is where a lot of us are. We do stuff for necessity, for survival. And for some folks, that's where you're at. But let's try to get ourselves to the point where we live our passion as a way of life. And, because I feel like I've heard folks, especially, folks who are a little bit more wise, got a little bit more
good word.
Thank you a little bit more time in, they say, you got to do what you got to do, and not everyone has the luxury to find a job that they like, or to live their purpose, or anything like that. So you got something?
I do. I'm sorry. So I think we've also learned in the pandemic that life is way too short. I feel like there's tons of people who I think have experienced the trauma of having loved ones or people that they know literally pass away before they got a chance to really pursue their passion. And that could have been another trigger, like, dang, so-and-so was working, job for 10, 20, 30 years, and they didn't make it because of the pandemic. So now that I see that that's possible, that life is too short, let me do something else. Let me live life while I can.
Right.
So that was a good little point there.
And then the other point that I wanted to, that just popped up from you, is I think another thing that we do is like the delayed gratification, but in the sense of like, I just need to do what I got to do now, and then like after I retire, then I'll really get to live the life that I want. But I really just want to put us into the reality of where we are in this country, and is that most people, once they get to the point where they're in retirement, unless we're leading a healthy lifestyle, a lot of folks, they're not even in a state where they can enjoy the life that they want anymore. So let that be, inspiration to you to, one, start leading that healthy lifestyle as early as possible. Don't wait, because that, going year after year after year of not taking health as a priority can catch up to you. And now, then you're maybe dealing with something unexpected during a time when you thought you were going to be
the
freest, right? Doing whatever, traveling the world, and maybe you're not able to because of X, Y, or Z. So don't delay that. Like, live your purpose now. Find something, again, even if it's not, I'm not saying you have to go quit your job tomorrow, but again, just start the process of finding whatever is a passion for you and incorporating that into your life so that you can find that purpose, that passion. Because again, it is part of your health. That's what we truly believe, and that's why it's one of our pillars. And as you can see, we're walking the talk. We're not just talking it, right? Because that's something that I came to the realization of as well. Is like, I can do all that I want with exercising, with getting the right food or whatever, but if at the end of the day I'm going to a job that does not fulfill me, I'm not going to be all that I can be,
and gives you stress
and give me stress, right? Then I'm not going to be the healthiest I can be, and I'm not going to be reaching my full potential. So if this resonates with you, then definitely take a step forward in some small way, as soon as you can.
There it is. So we're going to get into some quick updates, but definitely make sure you like and subscribe. We appreciate y'all. If you enjoyed this message, or you feel like this message should be shared with a specific person, make sure you share that with that specific person. So Queen, updates for the week. I know, I'm just going to put that on your plate. See what you want to say. Go ahead, Queen.
Oh, well, I mean, I already pretty much alluded to it throughout the podcast, but yeah, for me, we've kind of been stewing on what I was going to do in my situation in terms of kind of having that job weigh on me a lot. So I'm actually going to be taking the dive full time into entrepreneurship, into health coaching, into Play Black Wall Street, into potluck, all of these things that I've been doing as side hustles. They're gonna be the main hustle. They're gonna be the hustle. And yeah, I'm excited, nervous, all the feels. And I think that, again, if for anybody out there who is like, has that fear, right? I totally understand, because you're jumping into the unknown, right? And you're leaving something that is comfortable, that is known, that is, I don't want to say a sure thing, because nothing's a sure thing, but more of a sure thing than kind of being a full-time entrepreneur is. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm betting on myself, right? I'm confident enough in myself and my abilities that if I can do this, if I can get to where I've got in 5 years working for somebody else, where can I get working for myself? Right? And that's what I'm excited. I'm like, I'm more curious than fearful, if that makes sense, right? I've gotten to the point where I am like, I'm curious, and I'm revved up to the point where I'm like, let me see what I can do in 5 years, working for myself. And I'm just like, let's go for it. So for me, I've gotten to the point where that outweighs the fear, and that's what kind of really initiated this leap. It was like, let's go then.
No. I think another thing that I don't know how many details you were going to put in, but I feel like I want to make it practical and realistic for people as well. Financially, we don't live too much outside of our means, right? I'm driving a cool little Prius. She got an old Honda.
Let's say old,
but Becky,
it's a reliable Honda that has been passed down to me. But long story short, I ain't got no car note.
Right. So I feel like those expenses have been able to help keep our expenses low, help us be able to save. We have a saving structure where, for the past maybe year and a half, 2 years, we're automatically saving money every single month, which we encourage everyone to do. Like, this is your freedom fund. Figure out how much you can save away, and just put it away automatically. Don't even think you have it, right? So, and then that way, when something does come up, you're like, oh, beautiful. I've been saving $200 a month for the past 4 years. I'm ready for this. And then something else we're doing, we are downsizing. So Grandy, hey, how you doing? Our number one fan.
Rumi?
We'll be at you. We appreciate you. But being able to, I think, be less subconscious or self-conscious about how the outside world sees things. Like, oh, what? They're living at granny's house? I feel like it's a very smart financial move. And especially if you're thinking about making a leap, there's going to be lifestyle sacrifice that you're going to need to make. And I feel like making one lifestyle sacrifice in one lane gives you that freedom, gives you that reduces of stress and helps you live your dreams so that in 3 years, or it's going to be shorter for you, but for in 6 months, whatever it is, you're now able to live a lifestyle that you were not able to do when you did have the job.
Right.
So, yeah, that short-term sacrifice, I think, is sometimes needed. So if you're doing it, like, again, don't be like, oh, TH4, they quit their job and they did it. No, just know that there was planning done. This was
I'm a planner. This was planned out. I wouldn't do this just on the whim, right? Make sure you're not doing it in an emotional state. If you're thinking like, if you're revved up right now, like, oh yeah, I'm quitting tomorrow, I'm out. Give it a few days, sleep on it, give it a few days, see how you feel after you've come down, right? If you're still feeling that way, then start making the plans, right? Yeah. Don't just do it. Make the plans, because the last thing you want to do is do something and then have to go back or, you know, retract, whatever, regret making that decision. So do it smart, so that when you do that, you can make that decision comfortably, knowing that, you know what, we're going to be okay. I just have to make sure that I am, you know, putting the same, if not more amount of energy to that I was in that job to being an entrepreneur full time.
Oh yeah, you about to do it. You about to live it. And then for me, last week we just delivered 400 games. Yes, okay, don't people listening, they
sorry, I was excited.
But just delivered 400 games to Linwood Unified, which was a connection that we did make when we went out to Tulsa. That is the largest bulk order we've done so far. So that's just beautiful to see. We got another large order coming in from a different organization that I'll share when that check clears as well. But yeah, I feel like it's opening my eyes to a different way of doing business, but still being able to create that same impact.
Right.
And I think for me, because I'm a people person, because I'm a high eye, like I want to see the impact. I want to be able to sell it to you. I want to see, oh, the name, oh, this person from this state just ordered. I want to be able to see the kids, but I think we can make more impact working with schools and make the same amount of revenue, if not more revenue. So now I'm starting to see like, okay, like stop being selfish, Devon. Let's make the most impact, but also help our lifestyle at the same time. Yeah. So that's exciting to see and start to strategize on the best way to move into it for 2022. As y'all know, just got back from the All Black National Convention. That was beautiful. Shout out to Jair, who's taking some pictures, some videos. There's gonna be some beautiful stuff coming your way after that. Also made some good connections from that. Made some phone calls. So excited to see what ripples are going to come from that. And then lastly, I'm working on a book.
Yes, you are.
Working on a book, and I feel it in my bones that it's going to be a bestseller.
Hey, let's go.
It's going to be a bestseller. So we've been working with kids for a while now, and I think that's a lot of love, a lot of great energy. But we always get messages from parents or parents coming to our table and talking, and they have questions too. And I think before we didn't have a appropriate age resource for the adults. Like we had the kids classes, the presentations are very kid friendly. The information is kind of kid friendly. So now we're working on a book for the adults, for them to launch their business, for them to dive into their passion. We have some free workshops coming up on Eventbrite. If you're watching live, you're probably going to make it. If you're not watching live, sorry, you probably missed that one, but you can catch the next one. But launch it is going to be a workshop this Thursday, 6 p.m. If you got an idea, come through. You can search for it on Eventbrite, or we'll also put it on the True Health Forever website. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this kind of elevated path for myself, kind of the evolution of myself. Like, cool, you used to work with this group. They got it. Still going to work with this group, but how can you now help another group of people with the same information, really, but giving it specifically for them? So I'm pretty juiced. I'm excited. Yeah, let's get it.
Proud of you, Ben.
Thanks, Queen. I'm proud of you for taking that leap, for betting on yourself. I bet on you. I'm all in.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. You good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm great.
You great. Yes. Stupendous.
All that.
Marvelous.
Splendid.
Galactic.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's always a finisher. But as usual, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.